Good evening! This is Ann Kerr coming to you from ALK 3 News. In today's broadcast, we'll be addressing the
Why, hello there, I'm Ed Editor, and today on ALK 3 News, we're going to be seeking out answers about the Soviet Union during the Cold War! Get out of here!
Sorry about that, folks. We'll be addressing the Soviet Union under Gorbachev, the end of the satellite states, and the end of Hey, what's happening to the feed?
I think Ed Itter's tapping into the feed.
Alright, it's time to get the show on the road! You'll never catch me alive! Get over here, Ed Editor! Never! Whoa! Why did you abandon the Soviet Union?
I did what?
As the last leader of the failing Soviet Union, you surely had a role in its demise. Stop struggling! Crazy! But enough of that boring news. Tell us more about the man behind the mask. Metaphorically, of course. Come here! You'll never know!
Okay, Ed Itter? Time for the real facts. Hi there, I'm Ann Kerr, the anchor for ALK 3 News, here to tell you all about Gorbachev's rule of the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Gorbachev was raised in an agricultural community and went to college at the University of Moscow, where he took an interest in law. Gorbachev then rose through the ranks and eventually became the leader of the Soviet Union. One of the most notable things about Gorbachev's rule was his institution of perestroika and glasnost, or restructuring and openness. Gorbachev knew something in the Soviet Union needed to change because it just didn't work anymore. He got rid of most of the high-ranking Communist Party leaders and started focusing more on the market side of the economy. Gorbachev knew that the Soviet Union could not prosper if he did not change the social injustices, so he encouraged the people to openly discuss the weaknesses of the Soviet Union through the two policies mentioned earlier. He also gave the people more religious freedom and more freedom in the press. The changes that Gorbachev made ended up bringing the beginning of a democracy in Russia and the end of the Cold War.
All right! Now that we have that out of the way, let's get to business. I'm going to be addressing two topics. One, the end of satellite states, and two, the end of communism. Alright,
and we're back again. Sorry about that, folks. Anyways, a major part of the Soviet Union was the satellite states they possessed. Satellite states are nations that are under the control of one larger power, which in this case was the Soviet Union. The economies, government policies, and society are all controlled by the larger power. The Soviet Union control and breakup of these states would later play a huge role in the downfall of communism, the disintegration of the Soviet Union, and the end of the satellite states themselves. As previously discussed on this news segment, Gorbachev was one of the leaders of the Soviet Union, but by this time he got into office, the Russian socio-economic situation was in a state of collapse. Gorbachev's attempt at countering this collapse was introducing the policies of glasnost and perestroika. In the end, all it did was allow people to openly criticize the system. In the satellite states, people were tired of being told what to do by the Russians. They wanted to govern themselves, or at least have more autonomy within the Soviet framework. A stunning series of events between 1989 and 1991 led to the fall of communist regimes in Eastern Europe and the Soviet Union. Movements began to take shape from the Baltic republics of Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia to the Caucasus republics of Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan, and across Central Asia as well. In the Eastern European satellite states, opposition activity grew bolder. When the dam burst, the revolution spread fast. At the beginning of 1989, there were 6 countries in the Eastern Bloc aligned with the USSR: East Germany, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Romania, and Bulgaria. Pardon me, I just have a little bit of a thing I'm getting over. Along with Yugoslavia and Albania on its margins, but considered behind the Iron Curtain. This is where communist governments began to lose power. Oh my gosh! You have got to be kidding me! Security!
Why, hello there again. Let's continue with what my colleague was saying. Communist governments first lost power in Poland, where it's agreed that free elections will take place in June 1989. Then demands for reform swept across East Germany in the fall of 1989, which led to the fall of the Berlin Wall and the unification of East and West Germany. In November 1989, the communist government of Czechoslovakia resigned, and in December, a violent revolution led to the overthrow and execution of Romania's communist leader. By the end of 1989, the former communist rulers were out of power in all 6 satellite states, marking the end of satellite states. Another year later, and the USSR itself was breaking apart into 15 successor states, and the former Yugoslavia had started to collapse. Hey! I was just trying to do a broadcast!
You're coming with me!
No! Ah!
Sorry once again. The 1989 revolutions thus marked a turning point in history. The event that pushed the Soviet Union into the history books was the failed coup of August 1991, where there was a communist-led coup d'etat that tried to remove Gorbachev from the office and put in place a more Stalinist system. Within 2 months of this coup, the Soviet Union was no more along with communism. This failure ended the party's control of the military and government. The Bulgarian parliament revoked the Communist Party's monopoly on power in 1990, and in 1991, the popular opposition forced the resignation of the Communist cabinet in Albania. In short, the collapse of the satellite states signified the end of the Cold War altogether, along with the collapse of the Berlin Wall and the end of the Soviet Union. Okay, alright folks, signing off. I'm Ann Kerr with ALK 3 News, and this has been Gorbachev! In Eastern European satellite states, opposition activity grew bolder. Sorry. There's nothing in there. In Eastern European satellite states, opposition activity grew...
But enough of that boring news. Tell us more about the man behind the mask. Metaphorically, of course.